Explore the rich and complex history of Islam within the vast territories that constitute modern Russia. From ancient trade routes to imperial expansion and modern revival, this is a story of faith, adaptation, and enduring presence across centuries. Islam's arrival in the region now known as Russia dates back to the 7th century. Following the Arab conquests, the faith first took root in the North Caucasus. This marked the initial significant interaction between the nascent Muslim world and the peoples of Eastern Europe. The strategic city of Derbend, in modern Dagestan, became a key early center. Its conquest by Arab forces in the 8th century solidified Islam's presence in the northeastern Caucasus. This region served as a crucial bridgehead for the faith's gradual spread. Further north along the Volga River, trade played a pivotal role. Muslim merchants from Central Asia and Persia established networks reaching into the upper Volga region. These interactions introduced Islam to various Turkic and Finnic peoples. A landmark moment occurred in the 10th century with the conversion of Volga Bulgaria. This state, located near the confluence of the Volga and Kama rivers, became the first organized Muslim polity within the future borders of Russia. Its capital, Bulgar, grew into a significant cultural and religious center. Volga Bulgaria maintained diplomatic and trade ties with the Rus' principalities. Historical accounts note encounters between Rus' leaders, including those from Kiev and later Moscow, and Muslim envoys or merchants. These early contacts were primarily economic and political. The Mongol invasions of the 13th century dramatically reshaped the region. The Golden Horde, a successor state to the Mongol Empire, came to dominate vast swathes of Eastern Europe. While initially tolerant of various faiths, Islam gradually became the dominant religion within the Golden Horde's ruling elite and among many of its subjects. This period saw the further spread of Islam among Turkic populations. The Golden Horde's Ulusis, territories, included areas like the Crimea, the Volga region, and parts of Siberia. Muslim cities like Sarai, the Golden Horde's capital, flourished as centers of commerce and Islamic learning. As the Grand Duchy of Moscow grew in power, it began to challenge the Golden Horde's successors. The conquest of the Khanate of Kazan in 1552 by Ivan the Terrible was a turning point. This brought a large established Muslim population, primarily Kazan Tatars, under Russian rule. The subsequent conquest of the Astrakhan Khanate and the Siberian Khanate further incorporated diverse Muslim groups. These included Nogai Tatars, Siberian Tatars, and various peoples of the North Caucasus. Russia transformed from a predominantly Orthodox Christian state, interacting with Muslim neighbors, into a multi-confessional empire. The initial period after the conquest of Kazan was often marked by repression. Policies aimed at converting Muslims to Orthodox Christianity were implemented. Mosques were sometimes destroyed, and discriminatory measures were enforced against Muslim populations. However, the vastness of the empire and the sheer number of Muslim subjects made complete assimilation impossible. Muslim communities, particularly the Tatars, maintained their identity, language, and religious practices despite the pressures. This period laid the groundwork for complex state-religion relations. The reign of Catherine the Great in the late 18th century brought a significant shift in policy. Recognizing the impracticality and counterproductiveness of forced conversion, Catherine adopted a policy of relative religious tolerance. This was partly pragmatic, aimed at integrating Muslim elites and maintaining stability in newly acquired territories. Catherine's reforms included the establishment of official Muslim spiritual assemblies. The most important was the Orenburg Muslim Spiritual Assembly, founded in 1788. This institution was designed to regulate Muslim religious life, appoint clergy, and oversee mosques under state supervision. This marked the beginning of a state-managed system for Islam in Russia. This policy allowed for the rebuilding of mosques and the establishment of madrasas, religious schools. Muslim communities, particularly in the Volga-Ural region, experienced a period of cultural and religious revival. Tatar merchants and intellectuals played a significant role in this resurgence. The 19th century saw Russia's continued expansion. incorporating large Muslim populations in the Caucasus and Central Asia. These regions presented new challenges due to their distinct cultures, tribal structures, and often fierce resistance to Russian rule. The Caucasian War, lasting for decades, exemplified this resistance. Within the empire, Muslim intellectuals and reformers emerged. The Jadid movement, originating among the Tatars in the late 19th century, advocated for educational reform, modernization, and a synthesis of Islamic principles with contemporary knowledge. Jadidists sought to revitalize Muslim society and adapt to the challenges of modernity within the Russian imperial context. Despite periods of tolerance, discriminatory laws and policies persisted throughout the imperial era. Muslims faced restrictions in certain areas, and the state often favored the Orthodox Church. Nevertheless, Muslim communities developed complex strategies for survival and cultural preservation. The 1917 Russian Revolution and the establishment of the Soviet Union brought radical changes. Initially, the Bolshevik government under Lenin proclaimed the right of nations to self-determination and religious freedom. This led to a brief period of optimism among some Muslim reformers. However, this initial tolerance was short-lived. The Soviet state was fundamentally atheist and viewed religion as an obstacle to building a communist society. A systematic campaign against all religions, including Islam, was launched from the late 1920s onwards. Mosques were closed or repurposed, religious schools were shut down, and Muslim clergy were persecuted, imprisoned, or executed. Islamic practices were suppressed, and religious education was forbidden. The state promoted atheism through propaganda and social policies. Despite severe repression, Islam survived in clandestine forms. Religious knowledge and practices were often transmitted within families and informal networks. Sufi brotherhoods, particularly in the North Caucasus and Central Asia, played a crucial role in preserving religious identity underground. The Soviet policies aimed to eradicate religious identity and replace it with a secular Soviet identity. While they significantly weakened formal religious institutions, they did not succeed in eliminating religious belief or cultural identity among Muslim populations. The legacy of this period profoundly shaped the practice and organization of Islam in Russia. The collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 led to a dramatic religious revival across Russia. Restrictions on religious practice were lifted, and freedom of conscience was enshrined in law. Muslim communities seized the opportunity to rebuild their institutions. Thousands of mosques were reopened or newly constructed, religious education resumed, and numerous Islamic organizations were established. Muslims, who had often practiced their faith in private for decades, could now do so openly. Today, Islam is the second largest religion in the Russian Federation. The Muslim population is diverse, comprising numerous ethnic groups with distinct historical experiences and cultural traditions. The largest groups include Tatars, Bashkirs, Chechens, Ingush, Dagestani peoples, Circassians, and many others. Muslims reside across Russia, with significant concentrations in the Volga-Ural region, the North Caucasus, Moscow, St. Petersburg, and Siberia. The Muslim community is also growing due to migration from Central Asian countries. The relationship between the state and Muslim communities in modern Russia is complex. The government officially recognizes Islam as one of Russia's traditional religions. There are multiple centralized Muslim spiritual boards reflecting the historical and regional diversity of the community, though this structure is also influenced by state efforts to manage religious affairs. Muslims in Russia generally have the freedom to practice their faith, build mosques, and establish religious schools. However, like other religious groups, they operate within a legal framework that includes state oversight and regulations concerning religious organizations and activities. Challenges persist, including issues related to religious education, integration of migrant communities, and navigating the complexities of identity in a multi-ethnic and multi-confessional state. Despite these challenges, Islam remains a vibrant and integral part of Russia's social and cultural fabric. Estimates suggest that the Muslim population continues to grow, both through natural increase and migration. Projections indicate that Muslims could constitute a significant portion of Russia's population in the coming decades, further highlighting the enduring historical presence and future significance of Islam in the country. The history of Islam in Russia is a testament to resilience, adaptation, and the complex interplay between faith, culture, and state power over centuries. From its early arrival in the Caucasus and Volga regions to its survival through periods of repression and its modern revival, Islam has shaped and been shaped by the Russian context. To deepen your understanding of this fascinating history, explore primary sources, academic research, and engage with the diverse perspectives within Russia's Muslim communities.